As far as Radley College is concerned, Henley isn't what it was. Uncharitably, it falls smack in the middle of A-levels, and in these more solemn times when an A grade in chemistry matters more than stroking your 8 to victory in the Princess Elizabeth Cup, the college can only afford to put in a token appearance here at the weekend.
What time do they take the water on?
About 5 to 10, I expect.
The big race today is a much smaller affair, with the uninspired name the Special Race for Schools. But to outward appearances, Henley is still Henley. Hampers, boaters and champers, sunshine and strawberries, old friends decked out in their finest plumage. It means continuity, all is well. So it's no surprise that the boy pouring the bubbly for his pretty companions is none other than the Workers' Revolutionary Party candidate in Radley's mock elections in May.
My pleasure. Antonia, be a bit more refined, for God's sake.
A happy day for Radley. Its first 8 trounces old rivals Shrewsbury. But summer days on the tranquil Thames begin in January, at the start of the Easter term.
Level!
It's a great boon to any school to have a sport that's not going to be stopped by the weather. While hockey pitches can be unplayable through rain, snow or a stroppy groundsman, Old Father Thames just keeps rolling along. And even during the iciest nip, when other parts of the river are frozen over, the section of the Thames on Radley's doorstep is always ice-free. For a little upstream, Oxford's sewage enters the river and keeps these waters nice and warm.
Okay.
Radley has about 250 boys who in their first year chose rowing in preference to cricket and hockey. To be honest, the choice was not made through any great passion for rowing, but through a loathing for cricket instilled at their prep schools. But once these cricket dropouts become wet bobs, their attachment to the oar is awesome. They spend 5 afternoons a week on the river, and the college fields 12 rowing 8s. Radley's boats alone are insured for nearly £250,000. The first 8 coach is Jock Mullard, who teaches maths and biology. He was a boy at Radley and rowed in the victorious Oxford 8s of '66 and '67. John Dalton is the coach for the second 8. He coxed for Keble Oxford. The coaches haven't had a lot of luck in recent years. In '77, the first 8 broke a rigger in the middle of a crucial race, and a year later, half the crew was down with food poisoning after eating some contaminated chicken. But despite all, Radley is certainly in the top half-dozen rowing schools in the country. Between 1965 and 75, it supplied more varsity oarsmen than any other school, and keen rowing men need no reminder that Crooks and Baillieu were fledged in these waters.
Well, what we've got is what we think are our best 16 oarsmen. And we're trying to really do 3 things. We're trying to teach them how to row more efficiently. We're trying to get them fit because they have to row over a 3-mile course at the end of this term. And then we're trying to pick the best 8 of them to row in the first 8. And one of our most obvious problems is who will stroke the 8. We've got Tony Dodd-Noble in the crew over here, and David Van Oss up ahead. And we've got to try and decide which one will set the best rhythm to enable the crew to keep going for about 15 minutes. And then on up the boat, we have to decide which man we think fits best in each position. It's really a question of mixing all the chemicals together and hoping that you come up with an explosive mixture at the end.
Curiously, there are 9 members of an 8, for the cox doesn't count. After this early outing, the 9 were chosen, and here they are. Being in the first 8 won't bring them many privileges, and those that there are sartorial. The exclusive right to wear a first 8 tie, the exclusive right to wear the white jersey with red-crossed oars, and the exclusive right to wear the red singlet with 2 parallel horizontal white stripes. But most of all, these boys will enjoy an undoubted prestige in the school, and for some it will be a crowning ambition achieved. One point of some symbolic interest, the boy who was to steer the first 8 this year, the Cox, was taking his driving test. He passed.
Don't mind, get in there, make yourself comfortable. Don't forget to move your seat forward a bit before you put your seatbelt on, otherwise you'll strangle yourself.
First aid from me. Ready. Get ready. Go.
Hold pressure. Are you ready? Go.
To prove he's chosen the best crew, Jock Mullard pits them against the second 8 and a junior crew, who have both been given several lengths start. Only the first 8 Cox can gauge their progress. He is their eyes and their voice.
Steady. Keep it steady. Lengthening out. We want the length. Length. Drive. Drive.
Holding the knees down.
We pulled up a very tiny bit and caught up quite a bit on coats. So keep it long.
Got
Keep it
just
long.
a little bit behind on the coat.
Jump. There. Jump. There. That's it. We're pulling up. We're pulling up. Keep it long. There. Jump. There.
Reaching out, second 8. One on first 8.
Keep it long.
Course with a good line.
And long. Jump. There.
Okay, go to the right.
Jump. There.
Bit of cunning
2.
from bow there. Well done.
3. Sorry about that, Chris. Watch your blade.
Working on the finish.
5. 6. Take it away.
Second 8.
Take it up.
Let's see that
Take the
power.
racing up. Racing going up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right to the first 8. We want to see you moving right away now.
And 6 weeks later, at the end of the Easter term, the Radley first 8 has reached Hammersmith.
All the way. Try.
It's the school's head of the river race from Hammersmith to Putney. Every rowing school worth its name has entered.
Let's give her 10. Now. 1, 2, 3.
It's the first event of the school's rowing calendar and the first form guide of the year.
6, 7, 8.
The 8s don't race each other over the 2-mile course. They start at staggered intervals and race against the clock.
Keep it going, keep it sharp. Leave your distance until the end of the straight. Go!
Well, it's 4th place, and the great news is that obviously as far as next term is concerned, you are so close to Eton and to all the others who are ahead of you. There should be no reason why you shouldn't beat them. Anyway, so the message is, well done, tremendous stuff. Next outing, first day of next term.
Summer, and the crew must pay for any smoking or drinking in the holidays.
The idea of the circuit is obviously to get you fit, most of all, but it will also help to make you stronger. But roughly you're alternating between leg exercises and arm exercises.
1, 2, 3, 4, leg, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6.
Got the brakes on.
And the video revolution has reached the river, an aid to analysing the flaws in the first 8's performance.
Look at all the splash. As you can see where that blade's just coming up at stroke and missing the catch. Ooh, that one. In fact, if I slow it down, I might have... Now, you should be able to spot the difference in the timing. I have a feeling that Adrian's sometimes a little bit short on the finish, and you could draw it through a little bit more. And because Simon tends to be longer, he gets left in there and then has to catch up.
The crew is not quite together. The blades are not in perfect timing or at perfect angles.
Well, the situation now is that we're not going fast enough. And the problem is how to get them to row better together. And it seems to me that possibly the best solution is to change the rig to bring Simon and Adrian closer together. It will mean that the boat will look somewhat strange with riggers where people don't expect them to be. But as far as I know, no one in this country has tried it. I tried it once before, about 5 years ago, and it, in fact, for them, worked very well. So that's why I'm tempted to try it again.
Right. Full pressure, both crews.
Oarsmen talk in quasi-mystical terms about good rowing, that rare moment when something happens, when timing and strength come together and pulling an oar seems in a strange way uplifting and effortless, a state of nirvana not yet achieved by the Radley First Eight. It was at this time that something unexpected happened. At the Warden's house there arrived an old Radleyan in search of a temporary teaching job.
Hello. Come on in. See you. Come on in. Oh, thanks. You know the way? Yes. Come on. Sink into a seat. Oh, thanks. How long have you been back?
Just over 2 weeks now. I spent...
This old Radleyan is famous in rowing circles. He may want a teaching job, but the Warden has another plan in mind. For this is Tim Crooks, the Olympic oarsman who rowed in the British Eight at Montreal that won the silver medal.
Silver by just under a length for Britain.
Timothy Crooks.
Among many other sporting honours, he also won the UK Superstars in 1977.
The Superstars of Europe.
Did I understand you to suggest, from what you were saying a moment ago, that you might be interested in doing something for the rest of this term? You know, a filling-in job.
If I can involve myself in the life of the school or of this school...
Tim Crook's days as an oarsman are numbered. If he's to get into teaching, he'll have to start at an independent school. He can't teach in a state school without a teaching qualification.
Wherever you go, and it could be Radley, and it would be very nice for us if it were, you could have a pretty full time in the classroom, and equally it would be mad not to use your rowing skills. And I certainly Jock Mullard and Ronnie feel that there's a place for someone to coach the first aid.
Yeah.
Jock feels he's getting stale. I don't believe he's getting stale, but he tells me he is.
I should check with the Amateur Rowing Association about amateur status if I receive money for coaching.
Well, you wouldn't receive money for coaching.
Well, if
you would receive money for doing your job in the design centre.
Yes.
Jock isn't paid as a rowing coach, he's paid as a maths and biology teacher.
Well, that's just a small point.
Yes.
I mean, the rowing side, I think, I see as a terrific opportunity. And if I can do something, if there's something useful for me to do in the school centre, then that would be ideal. That's the important side, really.
Well, indeed,
it must be.
That is number one. I'd like to emphasise that.
Yeah.
That's more important in the long term. Yeah. And you would establish yourself in the eyes of boys by your performance there, just as much, if not more, than by your performance for the road. Okay.
Thanks very much.
Come on.
I was talking to Tim Crooks the other day, who's got a pretty impressive winning pedigree. In fact, I did write down somewhere. I know you always tease me about writing things down, but he's won so much that I had to write it down. And if you just take his Henley wins, it goes something like this.
1968 Thames Cup, 1971 Goblets, 1972 Double Sculls, 1975 Grand Challenge Cup, 1977 and 1978 the Diamonds. That's not bad. In fact, he's probably the best all-round oarsman that this country's had in the last 50 years. Well, from Tuesday, he is going to be coaching you. And I think with his help, you should get that final thing which will give you the victory that will be nice. And really all it takes is a bit more oomph, a sort of final winning drive, and there should be nothing to stop you winning at national schools and at Henley. Who's weighing down the bows.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah.
And that's our lump, John Wingate.
Yeah. Yes, good to see you. Yes.
Well, this is a phone.
Ah.
Big man.
That's Doug Montgomery.
Hello. Good to meet you. Where are you rowing at the moment?
3.
But you can remember him because he always grins.
But even when he's in pain.
Especially when he's in pain, he grins. And lurking directly behind you, Adrian Butcher.
Oh, that must be about the lot. Hello.
He's the one with the exams.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure he sleeps well.
So you've got to pull extra hard tonight. Right, well, we're all assembled, are we?
That's about enough.
Right, let's get in. Well done. It was good to watch their reaction. They were obviously thrilled to meet me. They'd obviously spoken about it, you know, among themselves. I felt that it was quite a big moment. It's important to look first without saying too much. They'd been coached by somebody I know. Jock Mallard and I rowed together in 1970 in a Leander crew. I know that he will have been teaching them fundamentally things which I agree with. But there are some aspects of their rowing which I can improve on. So I look for the way they row, and I see some faults, just technical faults in blade work which can be really changed and improved on. One fundamental blade work fault is that about half of the crew really don't get in the water quickly at the beginning of the stroke. At the moment when they should go in the water, they're really driving back through thin air.
Okay, John, when you're ready, take it off the last piece. 1 minute.
Next stroke, full pressure. Are you ready? Go. Steady, keep it long. Jump. There. Jump. There.
It's just under half a minute to go. Now let's see the fight. Come on, let's drive it. The last few strokes.
Rate going up. Now. Keep with him. Time on the slide. Send it away on the finish. Send it away on the finish. Length. Jump.
Wind down.
I don't want to be regarded as somebody who's an excellent rower and somebody who they can't relate to. And so I spend some time just larking about and really being pretty silly, the way schoolboys are. And it comes fairly natural to me. And my brother used to start everybody and then start himself, 10-second intervals, scull through them all and time at the end. Time them all at the end.
Well, I thought you used to do that too.
Ah, well, no, I think we had a different system. I
Which crew?
15-1.
This pass. Which are you?
15-1.
This pass.
Just came off.
J16. This pass.
J15 too, sir.
Back, coach.
The most important race meeting of the year for any rowing school is the National Schools Regatta at Nottingham.
No, plus however many dons there are.
Well, there's 1 don per crew, which is 40 for the crews, plus sergeant is 41, this coach here. You're on this one? Yeah.
Who's this?
I think we're off now.
Every crew in Radley's flotilla is competing. 12 eights and 1 pair. That's 111 competitors, over 1/6 of the whole school. Each boy is paying about £10 a head on top of his termly rowing subscription of £8.
Okay, well, what are we talking about?
We haven't got anywhere to sleep now.
Well, let's have a
You
key.
haven't? No. All under control, all under control.
You take that one. That's
John's got our key.
okay, what's
2, 1, 3. So we're
Okay.
together.
So, what number are we, David?
Early night, no wanking, ready for tomorrow.
Semi-final, the eliminator.
The regatta is held in the old gravel pits by the side of the Trent that were turned into a 6-lane 2,000-metre course in the early 70s. The day begins ominously for Radley. One of its junior crews is in trouble from the start.
It's all right, because one
Try not to laugh,
so you do laugh at something like that. That is brilliant. Absolutely. I'll just get it out and go straight back in again.
The race everyone wants to win is the Queen Mother's Cup. There are 2 heats.
Semi-final, the eliminator of the Queen Mother's Cup. The first 3 crews go through to the final.
Scotch a bow.
I shall start you like this when you're straight. Are you ready? Go.
Easy. Scotch 2,
Radley
Scotch 2.
ready?
No.
Right, I'll say it, David.
Shrewsbury ready?
That's enough.
Emmanuel ready? Paul's ready?
Ready?
Are you ready? Go!
1, 2, 3, 4, length, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Rowing is unlike other team games where you have one other team to beat. To win in rowing, you have to beat everybody. And at this stage, Radley looks as if it is going to beat nobody.
Hey, go, for Christ's sake, David, go! 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, one go.
Well done, qualified anyway. I thought that was quite a good race, but just not inspired. Early on, you didn't look in a very strong position at about the 500-metre mark, but by 1,000, you'd pulled up to within striking distance, and I thought perhaps it's all going to click and you're going to fly through, because you could have done. At that stage, you were only 3/4 length. Oh, you were only about half length down. The other race was faster. We got Eton 4:36. These are rough times without decimal points. Eton 4:36, St Edward's 4:38, King's Canterbury 4:40. So on time, we were slower, but we just didn't get the sort of spirited rowing, and that's the sort of thing we're going for. Not worry about it now. We can improve on that. You know, I think that was just a reasonable row, nothing more. We've just got to think spirited rowing.
Before the final of the Queen Mother's Cup, spirited rowing brought success to one of Radley's crews. The under-15s won the Junior Colts Cup. The Junior Colts mascot is borrowed by the first 8 to bring it luck in this, the last and most important race of the season.
There's every chance that something will happen to the others. They may fall in, they may break a rigger. You may win. If you try hard, you can do it. Blast off. Right, let's get the boat out. Oh yeah, well, let's go out here and do it.
Quickly. That'll do. And again, and again. Right, that'll do. Ready. Ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and strike! Length now, and sharp on the catch. So let's get it together. Let's get the sharpness. Raise it. Strike. Break 38. Keep it long. Length. Sharp on the catch. Sharp on the catch. Give it a 10. Now. 1, 2.
At the halfway mark, Radley in lane 2 is clearly last.
6.
But the words of Radley's cock seem to spur his crew, and slowly it makes ground.
Let's make this spirited. Make it as though we're rowing it. Second 8. Rise. Emmanuel are pulling away now. Come on, hold them. A challenge. Now. Come on, start building it. We've got to start building for the finish. It's going up to 40. We're going to take them all now. We're not going to blow up. Come on. We're going for the second place. We can do it. Going up to 42. 42. Go! Go! Go, Madoff, go! Wind down. Wind down. 3 cheers for the rest. Hip it. Hip it. Hip it. Beginning. And we pull back about 3/4 of the length of the last one.
5th place. All that work, all that training for 5th place.
Move up now. You can slip that hallway. Stamp it.